mechanics of operation, there's probably not a lot of difference, that you have to run the property every day and you have to take care of the students. It's in the contractual relationship where you see the difference in the owner-operator come into play. Bear in mind, a REIT transaction could be for as long as 75 or 80 years. And arguably, they're going to want to operate the property for the full term of that because they're protecting their investment. If you follow, they wouldn't want to run the risk of handing operation over to a party who may have different goals and objectives itself as an operator that could affect the return financially. In the non-recourse model, the non-profit-owned model, you've got the flexibility to change managers, for a university to self-operate, any number of different ways you can handle the day-to-day. The main difference there is, in the nonprofit model, financial feasibility and being able to service the debt that is borrowed to build the housing is the only determining factor. You have infinite flexibility in how you run the facility. You know, it's interesting. Fundamentally, they're similar, that you have the equivalent of an advisory committee or an operating committee. In the REIT structure, the university has a seat at the table. In the nonprofit model, the university has a seat at the table. The difference is, and we saw it in one instance recently, where a university didn't really want to have rent rates in the housing go up because they were looking at total cost of attendance to a student. You know, their tuition, their books, their fees, everything. We all know they're dealing with budget struggles. And the REIT desired to increase rates to drive return, to show a financial return, which looks good in the market. Then result was rates went up. Because contractually, there's sort of a final vote or a veto in matters that are financial in the REIT model, where the REIT prevails. In the nonprofit model, you have to go back to the concept it only has to be financially viable. Therefore, if financially a rental rate increase is not needed, you don't have to make it. Now, you could have cases, obviously, where it may be needed, depending on the operation of the project. There are projects this year that are remaining flat as far as rental rates go because they're not needed financially, and therefore there's no motivation to increase them for no real reason. You know, that's a matter of opinion. It's really a case of what you believe best fits your situation. My opinion, I believe the nonprofit model is better for the university. It's obviously a singular opinion, and you would well think it would be my opinion since we exist to serve the nonprofit sector. There are cases where the REIT model may be the only way for a project to get done. Either there are governmental restrictions against universities borrowing money or being engaged in nonprofit tax-exempt type transactions where a REIT is the only way to get something done if they need it. But if you weigh the two, I at least wholeheartedly believe that the nonprofit model is better for the universities, regardless of rating agency classifications and treatments, especially if you buy into the concept that they don't make a distinction between the REIT structure and the nonprofit structure financially. I would cut my teeth on project financings. Started in 1997, executing the first true non-recourse, non-profit model in the country. And since that date, over the course of my employment, I've been involved with in excess of $1 billion of those type structures. Now, mind you, that's a market where there have been over $4 billion in projects completed under that non-recourse, non-profit-owned model. So that's the background where I'm coming from, as well as having a lot of interaction with the rating agencies over the years and watching a number of different transactions done. I'd like to think it helps me better understand what universities' goals may truly be. Trying to put myself on the school side of the table and looking at a project, whether it be a developer unrelated to us as a management company or perhaps an affiliated entity.